Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started. Lisa here, the Northwest Territory Manager, is going to take over, and she's got a special treat for you. We're going to go through the making of McGuire. So I'll let her take over, and I hope you enjoy.
Thank you, Miss Gina. Hi, everybody. We're so happy to have you here with us today. Excited for the Seattle Design Center's Design Week. Tons of great things going on. And I'm so appreciative that you would join us for the making of McGuire. It is one of our preeminent brands, and to be honest, one of my favorites. I've been with us for, golly, I've been with the Baker Group for going on 27 years now. So I've kind of seen my share of things come and go. And McGuire is just a steady component of our design and what we do and what we manufacture. And we're always adding to it and expanding the design opportunities. So I think you'll enjoy this presentation. It talks about the roots of McGuire, talks about the materials being used that were used initially and currently being used, and just kind of our directions. So without further ado, I will turn over to our PowerPoint presentation and take you through the slides. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Here, I'll even give you a little glimpse of my face. Hi. Okay, and that's as large as I should see it, right, Gina?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, got to put on my little glasses and off we go. So McGuire was, thank you, Gina. Thanks so much for helping. McGuire began in 1948. So it has been around for 73 years, and it was begun by John and Eleanor McGuire, and their vision was to move indoor and outdoor closer together. So while the design and craftsmanship are at the forefront of McGuire's priorities, comfort and functionality remain the result. It's beautiful to look at, but it's also highly functional. Uh-oh, now we're gonna have problems already. Oops, there we go. Sorry, jumping ahead. Things got to catch up with me. So this, those of you who are familiar with McGuire, you'll recognize the butterfly chair. It's an iconic piece. And just of late, we have reintroduced the gondola chair, which was one of the original designs as well. So McGuire uses best-in-class materials, and the quality of the workmanship has been uncompromising for over the 70 years that it has been available. McGuire has always been recognized as best in class of the category of rattan furniture, but you'll see as we go through these slides that we have certainly expanded that material story. And there's a little bit of everything for everyone, and it blends beautifully, as it always has, but even more so now with the materials that are being offered on newer collections. So this is John and Eleanor McGuire. They met when he was in Naval Flight School and she was teaching navigation there. So kind of an interesting story way back when she would have been in a position of teaching and helping the students understand navigation, which I thought was really cool. They married, and then after World War II, started living in San Francisco. And that's where John was first introduced to rattan furniture by a friend who had been living in Asia. They were intrigued by the possibilities of rattan furniture and by the capabilities of the material itself, and that's what began their business. Those of you who are familiar with San Francisco are likely familiar with the Gump's department store, a beautiful store. They befriended the design director of Gump's, who was someone who was very sophisticated, and Gump's, of course, specialized in Asian furniture, art, and accessories. And the design director, her name was Eleanor Forbes. She was very knowledgeable and had a great taste and a good eye for design. And the story goes that she loved the materials that the McGuires had introduced, but never bought any chairs from them. They finally asked her, since they were friendly, why she wouldn't buy what they showed her. And she stated, because their designs were lacking. So they had a beautiful material story, but the designs weren't quite where they needed to be. Fortunately, she really enjoyed the McGuires and began to tutor them in the nuance of design, to the point that they eventually became connoisseurs of Asian design, all to the betterment of McGuire's product assortment. So here we have Eleanor Forbes, and one of the iconic pieces that began everything. This is the director's chair. This was one of the first pieces. And again, you can see where her influence was very sought after, and where she really helped direct them in the way to go. The director's chair is a beautiful piece, and any of those lucky enough to have one of the original pieces, I would say it's a keepsake and one you should hand down to future generations. Since the whole thought of the McGuires was to blend indoor and outdoor, we see a beautiful example here of what that means for McGuire. The beautiful barrel ring chair from one of our guest designers, Laura Carrar, is on our left. And then a beautiful setting of Barbara Berry outdoor furniture on the right. And you can see how all the forms are really set for the intention of where they're to be used, but how beautiful the interactions is for both indoor and outdoor living. We also do extensive pieces for kitchen, and then of course for the garden, for outdoor. And so that same sort of design intention applies for different areas of the home, or certainly different areas outside as well. One of the wonderful mainstays for McGuire is that it's used in a lot of commercial applications as well. It's not unusual to find McGuire in the finest five-star hotels around the world. This is an example here, the Ritz-Carlton in Maui. And the durability of rattan really sets it apart for being able to use it in contract applications. It holds up really wonderfully. And then it also adds a great deal of interest from the hard edges of some upholstery for contract. You can see these beautiful soft edges of the McGuire and how natural it is with the stumps that are used as cocktail tables, how it all blends really beautifully. Let's see. And then another contract in hospitality, this one being in a restaurant, of course. So we work extensively with premier restaurants. We certainly manufacture our pieces of McGuire to suit where it's being used. So when it is a contract or hospitality application, we can add extra supports, again, for a higher traffic area. But this also translates beautifully to residential. McGuire is made so well that it will stand the test of time no matter where it's being used. At the forefront of what we do at McGuire is certainly the design. It's a critical component for any luxury object, and especially in our world of furniture. We're fortunate to work with many guest designers, but we also have very talented in-house designs. So design is very important to us. McGuire's distinguished itself by using forms that are timeless in unconventional materials. Allowing those materials to be perceived as luxury is at the root of McGuire's success. So normally you wouldn't view rattan as being a luxury kind of material, but the way it's used and designed for McGuire certainly lends itself to being a luxury item. This is one of our newest guest designers. This is a living room shot for Nicole Hollis, and she has begun with us a couple of years ago. And this really speaks to the evolution of McGuire and from its rattan beginnings. It's a broad range of assortment now. We've got woven leather on the sides of those sofas. We've got beautiful graffito marble on the bases of the dining room table and cocktail table, beautifully woven rawhide on the Exalt chairs that you see with the dining room table. So just a really beautiful mix of materials that complement rattan, but also not necessarily are limited to rattan. When this collection was first introduced, it was shown all in black. We have a couple of guest designers whose favorite color is black. We made sure neutral color was also available, thinking that the black might not sell as well. But as customers from around the world were moved by this inspirational choice, they actually gravitated towards the black to the darker finish. This is a wonderful slide that really speaks to the history of McGuire. It's a look back at our extensive assortment and offering. At a quick glance, there are pieces that reveal recognizable, familiar silhouettes from our extensive catalog. And many of these are still in production, some not, but many of them are going to be very familiar forms that we still use today. This is a really beautiful shot, again, of future icons. We've got the one on the left is a chair by Barbara Berry, and then the one on the right, of course, is Nicole Hollis. They're both rich in texture and truly art in furniture. They have different inspirations, one as a Scandinavian design and the other as ancient civilizations, both being celebrated in today's homes. And here's one of our iconic pieces as well, the cracked ice chair. This is classic design for us. The oval back, and then the interior has randomly placed fretwork that replicates the look of cracked ice. And you can see how beautiful it is around a dining room table in that pretty setting on the right. And then again, another very classic form is the oval chair in upholstery. This geometry of Barbara Berry's oval back chair on the left is elegant and simple, with the cane back that reveals the X-shaped stretchers. Behind, we like to say Barbara Berry invented the oval. She's used it extensively in both Baker and McGuire forms. Barbara began with us in 1996 is when she did her first collection for Baker, and then shortly thereafter she did a collection with McGuire. And it's not uncommon for our guest designers to design for both Baker furniture and for McGuire. We're really fortunate that they have such talent that translates between the brands so well. You can see on the right-hand side, the Barbara's is a contemporary version of a Louis XVI chair that's been popular ever since its creation around 1770. So art history is important to us, and certainly when it's good design, it stands the test of time and can be translated into more modern versions or variations of something that was introduced hundreds of years ago. This is an interesting chair. It's called the Manaus chair. And it's another example that's influenced by history. Here we've pared it down to its essence. The rattan poles are joined 3 deep and aggregated. And the result is a very sculptural chair. And it's actually on hidden casters, so it's one that can move around easily. And anytime you have the rattan, it can take any of our rattan finishes, which we have over 50 different choices of rattan finishes that you can choose from. And again, another nod to history. We've got the beautiful Laura Carrara chair, again, this ring barrel chair. And you can see where it's taken its influence from a beautiful Bergère chair. So it was the modernists adapted a lot of pieces this way and made it look new again. This is an early, on our right is an early Art Deco Bergère chair. made in Paris around 1910. And it copies a design found in the 18th century. And then Laura Carrara, of course, has taken that same design and interpreted it with rattan. So things that are old are new and vice versa. And again, we can draw our influences from beautiful design throughout the years. Here we have, again, some newer pieces that have been introduced within the last couple of years. On our left is a beautiful new table in a highly figured walnut by Barbara Berry. And the mission of McGuire has always been to explore different design looks and feels and materials, and just see what the different possibilities are to be able to either blend rattan with other wood pieces or upholstered pieces, or to have something that's completely separate from rattan that just has that feel and essence of McGuire. Let's see, McGuire honors the beauty of natural materials, no matter what it is. So we'll talk a little bit about materials and the artisanship that is McGuire. It is a really beautiful story and very interesting. And certainly if you ever wanted to know a little bit more about the process, we here at the showroom are happy to take you through it in more detail. I've got cutaways of rattan, and I can show you the actual poles and kind of like what it takes to make an actual McGuire piece, what all we do. And we'll talk about that a little bit here as we go through the materials and artisanship. It's always been about the craftsmanship for McGuire. John and Eleanor had a very unique vision that rattan furniture could be elevated by its design and detailed craftsmanship to become luxury furniture. And it's always been executed at the highest standards. This here is a very iconic shot of our beautiful Target chair. And again, I believe this was one of the first pieces that John and Eleanor introduced, and it's still in the collection and still going strong. And so it really speaks to what we can do with rattan. Rattan itself is a solid pole, and as it grows, it's climbing. It's a flexible vine that thrives in the jungles of Southeast Asia. Rattan requires structural support as it grows. The wider the diameter of the rattan, the older the plant. Our classic rattan designs, paired with signature rawhide bindings that you're seeing on the ring there, McGuire sets the standard for the finest rattan furniture available today. And the rawhide bindings are unique to McGuire and a piece of the craftsmanship, certainly that John and Eleanor made a part of the craft story with McGuire, and very unique. So this is a great shot to see what we can do with rattan. This is actually a shot of us steam bending the rattan into the different forms and designs that we want. So before we steam it into shape, rattan starts at about 3 to 4 millimeters larger in diameter. We have to then hone it to the diameter needed. Again, as rattan grows, the older it is, the wider the pole. So we hone it to be exactly the diameter that we need for that particular piece. Traditional poles, most common in McGuire, refer to peeled rattan, and that's taking the outer layer off, showing the smooth and consistent grain pattern. And you see, as he's got it in the jig there, that is a peeled piece of rattan. So you can see the grain pattern somewhat in that shot, but we'll see some other slides that show it off a little bit better. Rattan is a flexible material that can be shaped by steam bending and placing it in a mold. Again, a solid material, using steam to form our pole, it preserves the rattan's integrity and strength. We use steel forms and jigs for bending and fitting to ensure accuracy and consistency. Once it sets up, it doesn't move. We cope, glue, screw, and or dowel all joints for maximum stability. The cope step allows the poles to interact. So if you think of it, it would be two round poles, and one would have to sit on top of the other. But if we cope it or cut out kind of a divot, then they can intersect and interact. So as we carve out the semicircle to allow them to become flesh, we can achieve beautiful joinery as such. Rattan is extremely durable. It doesn't break, chip, or splinter. And rattan is a member of the palm family. It is fast growing and can grow hundreds of meters long. This is what qualifies rattan as sustainable, since it replaces itself quickly once harvested. Approximately 70% of the world's rattan comes from Indonesia. And that is where our factory is in Indonesia. And we work with local farms to be able to harvest the rattan used in McGuire. So it makes sense that our rattan facility is located there. And that's where all McGuire rattan is sourced. On the left, you can see with this concave table base, it's possible to create sculptural forms and complex curves with rattan. We align the grain on our screw and dowel plugs with the grain on our poles. And you'll see that in one or two of the shots. So the actual plugs that go into the rattan, once we screw it and dowel it, we actually match those plugs as well to the grain pattern. So it's very seamless. This is a beautiful shot of just an underside of an ottoman done in rattan. It's a simple modern ottoman, but looks can be deceiving. When we look at the underside, an area nobody really sees, we can appreciate the complexity of joinery, and the quality of the weaving is of the same quality that you might find on a visible surface. We use rattan in a number of different ways. Peeled in its original thickness as a solid pole, as we've talked about. So what we're seeing here is the peeled rattan poles. And then there's three different alternatives that adapt rattan for weaving. We can look at the outside layer, think of bark and how it can be used. Rattan peel is the outermost skin of a rattan pole, which can be used for weaving, also called split. Rattan caning uses the inverse of the peel. The inverse of the peel actually accepts finish better than the outer side of the peel, and it is used more frequently because of it. So if you think of the outside backs of a lot of our McGuire dining room chairs, and if they have the caning, that would be the reverse, the inverse of the peel. And as it accepts the finish better, again, you won't have chipping of the finish. It actually absorbs into the peel itself. So making it very durable from a finish standpoint as well. Additionally, we have the rattan core, which refers to the process of cutting the core of the rattan pole into skinny strips for weaving. So rattan can be used in a number of different ways. This is another new method for us in using rattan. This is actually flattened rattan or planed. It has a very modern point of view. This is being used on the Marmel Ratzinger collection. And it also allows the finish on the rattan to be highlighted. And this is a really good example of where you can see the grain pattern of rattan. It has beautiful highs and lows in the grain pattern itself, and it's really beautiful. Our hand stain finishes are water soluble dyes, and our stains are low VOCs, which means they're better for the environment as well. So not only is rattan a fast growing, sustainable material, the dyes that we use as well are also much better for the environment. I just wanted to let everybody know too, this presentation is probably going to take about 45 minutes. And if you have questions or you want to reach out, I will be here at the showroom through pretty much most of the day, and am happy to answer any of your questions. Gina's also on this, and we'll get your questions answered for you just as soon as possible. I see it. We've got a few questions coming up. So keep those thoughts in mind, and then I will certainly connect with you after the presentation. Thank you so much. So here we have a really beautiful slide of our rawhide lace up. Again, something else that sets McGuire apart from other manufacturers that work with this sort of material. The rawhide lace up was originally an idea of rattan, what people have been chasing McGuire for. This is unique to what we do. We wrap joints with moistened rawhide to ensure a permanent bond. The innovation is that the rawhide is applied wet so that when it dries, it shrinks and it forms a very tight bond, a very tight joint that's impossible to separate. The McGuires perfected the use of rawhide in the late 1940s, turning this essential material and method into a signature design statement. And we use it in a number of different ways, and it really does lend a beautiful design component to many of the pieces that we do in McGuire. Rawhide is an animal skin that has not been exposed to tanning and is similar to parchment. Here we see again a nice close-up of the rawhide bindings being used on the left side on the gondola chair. And again, they really do become a beautiful design element, as well as making sure that the joinery is very secure. On our right-hand side, we have the wonderful Exalt rocking chair. So fashion style abounds when rawhide details are added throughout McGuire. The precision of the weaving of rawhide around the joints, it's all clean, it's exactly alike. And this is done consistently and done the same way. That's what makes our product best in class. We also have precision in our weaving. This is artisanal work. Weaving is done entirely by hand using methods that have been passed down from generation to generation. And then this is a wonderful close-up of, again, how rawhide can be done. This is the Corinne bar stool by Stephen Volpe, is one of our guest designers. He's out of San Francisco. And this shows the rawhide as large straps to be able to sit upon. And then the steel frame is wrapped carefully in rawhide. It really becomes a decorative element of the stool itself. And then you also see the wonderful rattan poles. This is a good shot where you can see the different diameters of rattan being used as well. That back rail is a thicker diameter than the support rails. And then another nice close-up detail of how rawhide can be used. This is the Jolie lounge chair. You want to reach out and touch these textures. It appears delicate in the design, but it's incredibly strong and consistent from side to side. The look is identical. So these are thick strips of rawhide that are tightly wrapped around softly curved or tan sides, and creating the impression that it's at once solid and refined from a distance, yet light and accessible up close. It's a very comfortable, beautiful chair to be able to see in the round. Another material that we use as well in McGuire is bamboo. And bamboo itself is an evergreen plant that grows throughout Asia. It's the fastest growing, most replenishable plant on Earth. That's the only similar story to rattan, though. So we'll point out some of the differences. Bamboo is hollow, whereas rattan is a solid vine. And bamboo is part of the grass family, so it grows straight up on its own. It also has breaks or crosswise membranes that form distinct nodes or nodules. Just as it does with rattan, McGuire is highly selective in the bamboo that we use. Oops. The side of the chair here shows you the coloring that comes with bamboo. Bamboo does not take finishes, so nature determines the coloring. So it'll always vary in color. And then again, another iconic piece are our bamboo table bases. You see that it's wrapped with the rawhide bindings, and the bamboo stalks themselves are around a metal pole for support. The uneven nature of bamboo sometimes allows the welded metal frame that you see there of the table to be visible. You do have the option of also adding brass caps to the top, and you see that on the right-hand side. Bamboo is truly timeless in home fashion. It's both modern and it can be traditional. We also use a number of different stone throughout McGuire. Here we have, let's see, we have the Molduro and Halen spot tables on our left-hand side, and these are in honed graffito marble, and they're solid. We have them at the showroom. You can come and see them and see me try and move them. So they're wonderful little pieces of sculpture that are a solid marble. And then the travertine that you see on the right-hand side is the top of the Calistoga dining room table. And travertine, of course, is very organic in its appearance, and we've left it with a very raw edge or organic edge. It's a type of limestone deposited by mineral springs. And travertine often has a fibrous or concentric appearance and has a warm cream colored tone with small natural holes throughout, which we have chosen to allow in the natural state. We also use a really unique material, and this is something that you can find throughout the world. These are coconut shell beads that you're seeing on the top of the table. These beads are carved from coconut shell and then strung together and glued in a spiral pattern to create this very exotic look. It's either shown in the bleached or in the black. And it adds more texture to what we do at McGuire. It has an uneven surface, so you can add a glass top, which is available. And these beads are often used in festivals, and it's a common carved object throughout different parts of the world. Again, another unique material that we've just started using is called lamp canae. Had to practice that one. These pieces are from Nicole Hollis, and this console design was inspired by a fashion influence, the heel of an espadrille wedge sandal. It's distinguished by the weave of the fiber into diamond shaped patterns. It's really a beautiful piece. We don't have the console on the floor, but we have an end table that's done in this beautiful woven pattern as well. And we do have the mirror on the Seattle showroom floor, and it gets a lot of attention. Lamper canae is a wetland fiber from the Philippines. It has a modulated color which varies from light to dark, and you can see that quite easily on the console. You can also get this in either black or in the natural. So again, we have a light and a dark option for you. The tall grassy stems of Lamper canae are braided and then used as trimmings or veneer on a number of McGuire's designs. They can be used as cords that are laid out in certain patterns to create a beautiful design that you're seeing. One of the other materials that we use throughout McGuire, and certainly this little stool is one of our favorites, and we're seeing it with the Danish cord back. Danish cord was made popular, brought to the forefront really by Hans Wegner in the mid-1920s. And it's created by artisans who take 3-ply paper and wrap it around a filament or wrap it around a wire, something. It's very much like leather. Over time, Danish cord will patina and soften. So it's a beautiful, very organic feel to it as well. And then this is a nice slide that highlights split cane. So remember how we were talking about rattan. As we take the peel off, you can use it in lots of different ways. And so split cane refers to woven canes that are made from the thin strips of skin of the rattan, known as the peel or the split. Caning requires a pre-wetting procedure for pliability and then achieving just the right tension on the final woven piece. So after the artisans wet the cane, it's skillfully stretched and applied along the grooves surrounding the frame and then secured. It's finished off with an application of rattan core along the grooves, also known as spline, for a seamless tailored look. The caned frame is then allowed to dry, and it achieves the proper tension and becomes completely dry. The tension is clear on this stool. The supports are tightly wrapped vertically, the base is ringed, and the angles radiate in a sunburst pattern. And then we also use woven cane on a number of upholstery pieces in McGuire. So a subtle but important difference with McGuire upholstery is the ability to add texture to the sides or back with woven cane. Again, the cane can be done in any of the different finishes. So you really do have a number of design opportunities when working with McGuire upholstery because of the cane. You can achieve a lot of different looks as well. And then we also, of course, use wood and metal. We use a number of different beautiful and elite hardwoods to create our products, from oak to walnut. They're thoughtfully selected for their color and how they'll complement rattan, Danish cord, or caning. We also use a number of metal items throughout McGuire, and you're seeing that on the harm table. You're seeing it with a really beautiful, again, organic hammered metal. So through the process of forging, we create this really beautiful piece that has both kind of an organic feel to it, as well as very sculptural. And then we create a lot of softness with our wood. This is a walnut chair frame that's used on the knot chair, and the knot chair comes in two different finishes, a light and a dark. You're seeing those beautiful rawhide bindings on it, but also really beautiful is that it has very flush joints and the soft radius of the curve on the front rail as it seamlessly flows into the arm. This is also a good place to highlight what we do on most of our cushions from McGuire, which is called a soft look or a double stitch. We can add welts if you want us to, just ask. But more common is this kind of soft look for our cushions in McGuire. Let's see, what's our time getting to be? I don't want to keep us too long. I might have to start talking a little bit faster. This is the Ojai chair from Barbara Berry. Again, this is a really beautiful shot of that coping that we do with the poles of McGuire. You can see how that front rail seamlessly goes right into the support rail of, I guess, kind of the arm or the frame itself. It has exposed dowels that are secured with the various rails of the seat. And this was something that modernists were very proud of, displaying the artisanship that is required to build a well-made piece of furniture. This is all done in North Carolina. So we bring our rattan frames in from, again, our plant in Indonesia in whitewood generally. And we do the finishing process as well as the upholstery process in North Carolina. Some of the newer things for McGuire, this is a wonderful cloud sofa and ottoman, and this was introduced by Barbara Berry a couple of years ago from McGuire. You can see again where we're adding a nice, wonderful level of softness. Again, these pieces are made in our High Point facility, High Point, North Carolina upholstery plant. And whenever you have a curve like that and that much detail, it's hard to achieve. You have to have upholstery people that know exactly what they're doing and can execute that very seamlessly. The cloud represents our newer approach to McGuire and Baker, recognizing that we are one big family of companies. So we're blurring the lines between McGuire and Baker, certainly, and each can live in one another's world, and they're really beautiful to be able to combine together in different settings that you might do for your clients. If you look at the beginning of McGuire, it really was accent furniture. So it was It was meant to be supported by other things in the room. And now the balance of rattan with fully upholstered items makes perfect sense for today's styling. It really can live anywhere. So we'll talk a little bit about finish and customization for McGuire. Rattan accepts a variety of paints and stains, similar to wood, so it can be finished in a variety of different settings. Like I had mentioned before, we have over 50 finishes for our rattan finishes in McGuire. And we can also do custom finishes for you too. If you have like a paint chip or something that you want us to be able to match, we can do that. This is just a little shot of kind of the standard finishes that we have here at the showroom in our finished trays. And certainly as we work with more of our guest designers, each time they introduce finishes that are unique to their collections, that we're expanding as well into the standard finish programs. So if you see something from Barbara Berry, the Dusty Amethyst, for example, you could hope to use that on other pieces, not just her collection. So again, we have the beautiful iconic butterfly chair, and we've this is a wonderful slide to show you how the personality changes so much when you do different finishes on this piece. On the left-hand side, we have it in a beautiful glaze, and you can also do like a custom tinted color. And then on the right-hand side, we have it all in silver leaf, so it's pretty special. We add a sealer or top coat besides the glaze, and then the top coat is a protective layer that is UV inhibited to maintain the color. And then we add a clear varnish. So there's a number of steps that go into doing the finishing process. And then this is, again, a wonderful shot of the Target. This is the Target lounge chair. Of course, we have the Target chair done in both the dining armchair and side chair. But this is just a wonderful example of the artisanship that it takes to be able to add different finishes to that ring. So what our fellow is doing here at the factory is adding on the left-hand side, it looks to be silver leaf on the outer ring, and then he's doing another finish on the inner ring, and it looks like it's the opposite way done on the lounge chair in the right hand of our slide. But adding leafing or doing this sort of thing is fairly labor intensive. Let's see, this was a client that specified a combination finish. So the inside ring of the chair has been stained and the outside ring has been silver leafed. So let's just review what happens when we add leafing to something. McGuire's prized silver and gold leaf process includes 12 steps to achieve the expert craftsmanship. All are completed by hand and very labor intensive. So there is a certain cost to do this process. Small squares of silver or gold leaf are adhered to the entirety of the rattan frame. Excess leafing is brushed off, exposing portions of the rattan. Squares of leafing are adhered and sanded off repeatedly until the frame is completely covered in multiple layers before the frame is sprayed with a top coat to achieve distinctive shine. So it's not a once-over process, it's multi-step. And again, here's how we can change up the personality of, again, one of my favorite pieces, which is the Laura Carr barrel ring chair. So you can really achieve a number of different looks, even on the same chair, by just changing up the finish and certainly the fabric. And then this is just a nice close-up shot of some of the different finishes and the range or color of sheen. So we have a matte sheen level, and then we also have the regular or higher sheen level. So you can choose in most instances if you want it to be more of a dry finish or if you want it to have kind of the standard sheen level that McGuire was always known for. But we added the matte finishes again to be able to be in step with what people were asking for and kind of how people are living a little bit more casual. Our guest designers, as I mentioned earlier, many of them are guest designers that both designed for Baker and for McGuire, not all, but many of our, the mainstay of our guest designers do so. And of course, Barbara Berry is one of our favorites. Barbara relocated from Hollywood to Ojai, California. She is an artist at heart, and this is a very strong artist community. And this is where she truly wanted to be able to retire to. So I believe the shot on the left we're seeing is a beautiful picture of her backyard, the views that she has from her backyard. And then of course, Barbara herself. She is a watercolorist by definition. She trained in Paris, and that is how she does all of her designs for us. She starts with doing them in watercolor. She chooses her colors from nature. She's very drawn to what she sees out in nature, and a lot of that translates into either the finishes and certainly the fabrics that she has us do. And that is just a nice shot of her inspiration board, how she goes about designing her collections for us. And then this is a living room shot of one of the newest collections that she did for McGuire. She's also going to be doing a capsule collection for us this year. We'll be doing our, what normally would be April market will be happening in June this year. And she's doing a capsule collection of bedroom and dining room for us for Baker, which is really lovely. And it's actually up on the website if you want to take a peek. And so if you go to the Baker website, you can see some of her new designs that we're going to be introducing this June. And again, that little peek of the oval that she's known for, and just the beautiful lines of what she does. We're so fortunate to have her sensibility, her design sensibility throughout Baker and McGuire. It just stands the test of time, and it's really just so beautiful. And then this is her bedroom for McGuire as well. This has probably been one of our best selling beds, is the panorama bed. And then you can see that little bit of Scandinavian influence as well on the chair and ottoman in the bedroom. I'm going to go through these a little bit more quickly. I think we're running out of time. This is Nicole Hollis, and she's our newest guest designer for McGuire. And then Kara Mann actually just introduced a collection for McGuire, and Kara Mann had helped us to relaunch Milling Road a couple of years ago. So we've got young upcoming designers that are part of what we do at the Baker, both the Baker family and the McGuire family. And we're really, again, fortunate to have them. So Nicole studied at the Fashion Institute of Technology and has a background in fashion. She moved to the West Coast, began working for an architect, and then went out to do her own projects. Great shot of her interior. So she really does blur the lines between indoor and outdoor. And she really focuses on mixing materials. So you see beautiful oak on her upholstered pieces, and that Lampercanet being used on the little stool, the split caning on the cocktail table. So really beautiful mix of materials. And then again, embracing those materials and texture and contrast, light and dark. She really is very good at it. And then again, one of our favorites, Thomas Pheasant, who's been with us, gosh, I want to say Thomas has now been with us 17 years. And started off with Baker, but has done also did a beautiful collection for McGuire. And this June, we'll be introducing another new collection for McGuire from Thomas. I believe it's 32 items. It's not on the website quite yet, but it will be soon. And he and his partner were just in Japan not too long ago. And so this new collection that's being introduced in June draws a lot of its influence from Japanese design. Really beautiful. Thomas grew up in DC. He's very influenced by his surroundings, and he has his academic training in architecture. He really likes clean lines and refinement. The Thomas Pheasant Outdoor Collection has very sculptural lines. And again, our outdoor is a mix of resin, aluminum. The seating, of course, is quick dry. And we just introduced, and you'll see that as we go through these a little bit more quickly now, we just introduced perennials as well. We have access to those now. Here's one of our guest designers, Laura Carrar, and she does really beautiful pieces for McGuire Swallows Baker. You see her there on the right with her little pup family. She and her husband have relocated actually to the Yucatan and refurbished and restored a beautiful hacienda down there. And so consequently, she has adopted a lot of wonderful little pups down there. Again, seeing some of our favorite pieces from Laura, the Guernica chair up in the top left-hand corner. We have that on the showroom, as we have also the ring barrel chair, or pardon me, the ring lounge chair. Two of my favorites. And then the Cesta bed, again, is a really wonderful study in lots of different materials. These gentlemen are the team of Marmel Ratzinger. And there again, you see that beautiful planed rattan that we've used on their collection. They're located in Los Angeles. And a beautiful sectional that they did for us. I'm going to take you through some of these a little bit more quickly. A little bit about our outdoor. We're expanding outdoor all the time. We do beautiful pieces. We're adding outdoor Barbara Berry from McGuire this time. So Barbara is doing a little capsule collection of bedroom and dining room for Baker, 12 pieces. And then she's also doing an extensive collection of outdoor for McGuire this June. So this June market's going to be a lot to talk about. And we have a short PowerPoint presentation that if you're ever interested in seeing, we can take you through it in the showroom and let you know a little bit about the new introductions that we're going to be seeing at the June market. It's going to be pretty extensive. Pamela Holmes is a wonderful artisan out of Northern California. She literally goes out into the forest and finds all of this beautiful foliage that's pressed into concrete pieces that she does. So each one is going to be one of a kind. They're hollowed out concrete, so they can be moved, and they are indoor outdoor. So again, really blurring the lines of indoor and outdoor living. And then, as I mentioned, Kara Mann, I don't have many slides on Kara. We do have some of her pieces in the showroom now. And Kara is just a wonderful young designer based, she grew up in the Midwest, and she has design studios both in Chicago and New York. And then this, again, is just kind of a rough sketch of where the designers start. And then that's a wonderful picture of where they end up. So some really wonderful pieces. And again, light and dark versions of what Kara Mann does for us too. And then outdoor, we brought forward the gondola collection, and we have some pieces here in the showroom. So both gondola lives both, we have rattan pieces for indoor and then the aluminum pieces for outdoor. You're seeing it paired up with beautiful Pamela Holmes pieces. We do tops in teak for that beautiful weathered look. Again, this is the Antalya collection that is rawhide for indoor, and then an extruded resin for outdoor. Beautiful pieces. Another wonderful shot of the gondola. Oop, I was going to try and keep us to an hour, but I'm going to run over just a tad. Forgive me. This is a great shot of that extruded resin. So we actually add a beautiful texture to it as well. It's not just a flat resin, but there's texture. And again, a lovely shot of Barbara Berry outdoor. This is existing in the lineup now. And then the new pieces will be different that are being introduced this June, and they'll be available to ship probably late summer, early fall. A few more shots of outdoor. And then what you're seeing on the outdoor pieces are the perennial fabrics that we now have access to. So we partnered with Perennials, and we have access to 100 fabrics that you can grade in onto your pieces now for your projects. And the wonderful thing with Perennials is they're indoor, outdoor, of course. They're acrylic solution dyed. And so they are stain and soil resistant. They won't fade. They're pretty much impervious to whatever you can do to them. And so it's really wonderful that we have Perennials that are hanging samples here in the showroom that you can see, that you certainly can use on your indoor projects as well as your outdoor projects. If you have high traffic areas or you have families that you're designing for, Perennials is a great go-to. And just some of the patterns that we've been able to have access to. Wonderful shot again of outdoor. And then just final thoughts. These are just some of our favorite slides. Again, our wonderful, iconic Target chair paired with a beautiful table that Laura Carr did for us some time ago. It's been discontinued since, but you can see how beautifully rattan marries with any kind of tables or objects, any kind of wood objects or stone objects. It's just a really wonderful material. And then, oh, hi, Gina.
Hi, I just wanted to say this was an amazing presentation, and we've got to hop on. We've got our next one coming up. That picture right there, really, it's a winner.
Indoor, outdoor, that's what McGuire is all about, blurring the lines.
There it is.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I'm running over
That's
time.
okay, not at all. It was beautiful. And to remind everyone, if they have any other questions or want to come in and see the furniture, they can come to the Baker showroom. The Seattle Design Center is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And you're always more than welcome to make an appointment. And you can find everyone's email from the Baker showroom on our website. So
we're easy to find, and we would love for you to come visit us or just send us a little note and we can get you more details about anything that you've seen or heard today.
Yep. Perfect.
Thanks, everyone. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Bye.
Bye.